Hey guys, Tom from Big Rock Trees. Just got a short video on a hedge that we put in at our house. We're screening the wood edge, so it would work well because the deer like to run this ravine. But I've been meaning to put this hedge in for a couple years. I've tried some things that didn't work. So this summer, after we're finished with our installs, we went ahead and put in this line. This line is a double staggered row. On the wood side, we put a dappled willow. That's gonna get a little bit taller. I put that in the backdrop. Green stems, they're gonna have leaves that hold a little bit longer in the season, but in the springtime, they've got white or pinkish leaves for the backdrop. So this is kind of more of a color hedge, more for landscaping in this area, but it will do a good job of screening the woods because our house is so close. So again, we've got dappled willow in the back. You can see we've got good success. Pretty good height on the dappled for this season. There's a couple things that we've done to help these along. This project, again, we ripped the ground about 16 inches down, then I tilled the top. We did add a drip line in. For this particular project, it's so close to the house that I could easily hook a hose up to it. And basically this line, we're about 150, 200 feet. It wraps around the corner. I could water it from this one central location. And the emitters on this drip tape, I've got 2 rows. The emitters are every 1 foot. Spacing on our shrubs, the dappled willow 4 feet apart in their row. On the inside row, I alternated Red Osier Dogwood and Yellow-twig. Try to get above the fence here so you can see a little bit more clear. On the Yellow-twig and Red Osier, you don't get a lot of growth in the first season, but a few stems and leafing out like this, I'm very happy with the success rate. You can see the dappled is a much more aggressive grower, longer stems on there. So in about 3 years, this hedge will start to fill in with some color, and I'll have a few other examples of what this is going to look like in the future. So the reason I layered it this way was to give some different colored stems in the winter against the snow. Again, the dappled willow is going to stay green to a light brown. The Red Osier will be bright red, and the Yellow-twig are going to get a bright yellow in the winter. So even with the leaves off, this hedge is going to look pretty cool in the future. So again, this hedge wraps along the wood line, follows the contour of the woods. We have an access to our woods here where I split the hedge up. But again, the elevation changes right behind here. So again, in the future, this hedge will do a great job of kind of screening off this ravine that the deer like to travel in. Now, a couple things that we did to help these along. We did use some organic worm castings, a little bit of lime before we put the fabric down. We also put a deer fence around. I had tried just some random cuttings in here, no fabric, and in 3 years, very little success. The ones that made it were browse so heavy. I don't think any of them were as big as these 2 dappled after 3 years. And again, this is 1 growing season, and we planted these late. It was probably the last week of June when this actually went in the ground. So typically for installs, that would be super late. I was comfortable with that because I was able to add water, and we were under pretty significant drought from late spring through the summer, even into the fall. So I was able to water it with that drip line that we put in. So that was very helpful. And then we did put deer fence around it. This is about 6 foot tall. We used 7.5 foot T-posts. And this deer fence was a 7 foot that Menards sells. It was their heavy duty. And so far, it's done a good job of keeping the deer off of these shrubs. As far as success rates on the dappled, I think we're 100%. On the red osier and yellow twig, we're probably about 90–95%. Again, on the growth, if you look at the yellow twig here, that's a very healthy shrub. It's really going to explode next year. So if you look at this guy, he's definitely behind the others, but you see you've got some leaves forming. That means he was making roots for whatever reason. The plant shut off everything up top. Late season, it started to leaf out again. We know it made roots during the summer, so next spring, this one's gonna explode and we'll probably catch up to the others. Our fabric has done a pretty good job controlling the weeds. I think next spring, June, I would go in and just pull any weeds that were coming up near the shrubs, especially on the yellow twig and red osier. And then we did keep the edge of the fence mowed. Now I know this deer fence has been working because we don't see any browse. And if you look just behind the fence here, the deer have a path that they walk right by the fence to get down into the ravine. So they're traveling this daily and have not been affecting this line. All right, so we're back out in the nursery. I just wanted to show you what that dappled willow is going to look like as it matures. I chose that one for the back of my hedge because it's going to fill in, get a little taller than the red osier and yellow twig, but mainly because of the green stem, so have some contrast, but also in the springtime, the leaves on these dappled willow tend to be a pinkish white in late spring, early summer. We'll just take a look at this first shrub. Again, this is a second year dappled willow. You can see the original there. He's kind of dark, has a few branches coming off. But look at all those nice main stems coming off of there. Probably 8 to 10. And each of those is about 6 foot, either tall or out to the edge. Next, I chose the Red Osier Dogwood for the front, alternating in our screen. And I chose them mainly because of the red stems in the winter. Now these did lose their leaves a little early this year, but that bright red stem, especially when there's snow on the ground, really pops in the spring, early summer when the flowers and berries appear. Also gives some contrast to the hedge. Again, that red osiers grows a little bit slower than the dappled, but you can see on this third year, we've harvested a few times, but look at the stem count. And from that stump in a single year, we're about 6 foot tall. And last, for the alternating in the hedge, I chose the Yellow-twig Dogwood. You can see the leaves are turning, a few green ones left here, but most of them are starting to yellow up. And then I'll take you and zoom in. These stems are going to be bright yellow in the winter, so it'll be a really nice contrast. And again, against the snow on the ground, they really pop. So here's one yellow twig plant. Huge stem count. Again, we harvested this. So all these are single year growth, probably about 5 feet tall. And they're a little light green now, but they will turn yellow as the plant goes dormant for the season. Now this part of the nursery, it is a double staggered row, so it's a little thicker, but you get the idea of what that would look like in that hedge in a couple years. So again, just a short video of a type of hedge that you could put in. I like the color contrast, different times of year, the things we did that's going to make this hedge thrive. Little nutrients, prepping the soil, using ground cover. I did install a drip line on this one because it was in an area that I could easily hook up to. And then we also protected it from deer with the 6-foot fence. I think those things are important to not let the deer start to browse on them, because then it's something that they'll be more aggressive getting after. Hope you enjoyed this video. Any questions, email us or call tom@bigrocktrees.com or 715-829-1223.